We run our city over here, that's how we do it, man.
Don't stop, Bangkok, Thailand.
It's the Bond Report with your host, Norm Bond. Now podcasting live from Bangkok, Thailand. Guests, solutions, insights. Get connected now.
Okay, and this is the Bond Report podcast with your host, Norm Bond, coming to you from Bangkok, Thailand. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. Also, share the information. You want to use the powerful insights that I'm going to be sharing with you in order to solve the problems that you're facing, whether you are an individual entrepreneur, whether you are a corporate manager or senior executive, a CEO, or even if you are someone who is just trying to figure it out. Maybe you just got out of college and you're just trying to figure out, where can I find opportunity? The insights that I'm going to share with you will enable you to be able to work and separate and differentiate yourself from anyone who's not being able to listen to this information, because I'm giving you real information here. I'm not somebody who's giving you theory. I'm giving you practical information in the area of marketing, business, economics, and social media. Follow me on Twitter. I'm going to help demystify. We're demystifying technology, social media, and other digital tools so that they can help you level the playing field, reach your target audience, make money, and pursue your passion. And today we're going to have joining us Linda Harding Bond. She's at Linda Skin Diva on Twitter. You might have read her post on her own blog, which is moontideconsulting.com. Or you may have seen her content on Huffington Post or any other number of industry journals that come out in the global spot industry. So she's going to give us an insight as to what are some of the trends, what are some of the changes that are happening in terms of generational differences, in terms of providing excellent customer service and making money, and things that you should also be looking out for if you are a consumer or a manager and leader in this industry. So we're looking forward to hearing from her. There's a lot going on, of course, in social media, SEO, and mobile, and I'm working to put together a live event here if you're in Bangkok, Thailand on July 23rd. We got an event coming up that's going to look at how to get you on the first page of Google, what are some tactics, what's happening with that, also how to use social media to really multiply the results of SEO, and of course put together strategy. So you want to visit my website, www.normbondmarkets.com, and get your hands on that information. And we're going to be getting to our guests here when I come back from this brief break, let you hear the insights of Linda Harding Bond, who is a world changer. And that's what this program is about, bringing people to you who are doing very practical things, who are working against the odds to really make change.
Hit up the website at normbond.com. Spread the word.
Tati in the building. Bangkok City, stand up. I got the big homie here who needs no introduction.
It's the Bond Report with your host, Norm Bond.
And we are back on the Bond Report. I want to thank everyone for listening to this podcast. And as I mentioned, we're going to be joined by a very exciting and informative guest, and that is none other than Linda Harding Bond, president of Moontide Consulting, who is also a Philadelphia native living in Bangkok, Thailand. So without any further ado, Linda, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Norm. How are you?
I'm doing very well, and it's good to speak with you as always.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, tell people who may be hearing you for the first time, they're not familiar with moontideconsulting.com and maybe even some of the work you've done on your other platforms, including the Huffington Post and Ethnic Skin Aficionado. Give them a little bit of your background and what brought you to Bangkok, Thailand.
Okay, well, I'll be happy to, Norm. Years ago I worked for Verizon as manager of training, and at the time I was a single woman, no children, so I could afford to be a bit indulgent with myself. I've always loved going to spas, and I like the atmosphere, but what always bothered me was that the therapist never seemed to know what to do with my skin. So I love the spa industry so much that I decided to leave Verizon and become an esthetician. And I found out then why I had such a problem finding someone knowledgeable. It's because the schools didn't have a module in their curriculum to address brown skin. Everything was presented from a European perspective. What to use, how skin reacts, the best products. It was all Euro-driven. So, I thought, well, okay, that's cool, but it doesn't help me, doesn't help my mom, my sister, my niece. So I decided to learn as much as I could about my own skin, and of course that expanded into other women of color. So when I started to work as an esthetician, I put that knowledge to use, and I started to amass a huge client base of ethnically diverse women, different skin types. Well, these women had questions because no one ever had answers for them before. And I found that I didn't have time in the treatment room to answer all of their questions, so I created a blog called Ethnic Skin Aficionado. So one day, one of my clients who would read my blog, she came to me. I was working on her skin, and she was from the Middle East. She had gone to school with Ariana Huffington's daughter, Ariana Huffington of Huffington Post, and she said, Linda, I think you're doing something very different. It's needed. Would you like to write for Huffington Post? Maybe I can get you on. Would you submit a blog? Because I can give it to them directly. I was like, are you kidding? So I created the blog. It was called Spying While Ethnic. It was accepted, and that's how I started writing for Huff. Shortly after that, I created Moontide Consulting because I wanted to have a business presence. And then I started submitting to magazines, doing interviews with different movers and shakers, asking them why they did not have people who understood brown skin. And from that, I started receiving offers to train at different resorts around the world. And, I did a stint as a corporate manager for an international spa training team. And that experience let me know just how much education is needed, so I decided to just devote my time fully to Moontide Consulting and creating products and building my brand. So that's how I got here.
Okay. Well, thanks for that insight. And you have quite a background. And we know that today, one of the things that you're looking at and we're seeing a lot of interest in is the global spa industry. And as you mentioned, you've done a lot in this area. I know I've seen huge spending numbers, in the area. We're talking like trillions even of dollars with this whole industry. But for those who are not familiar, and for those maybe who are, but often people have multiple definitions, what is the global spa industry, and what are some of the different types of spa/business arrangements that one might see?
Well, Norm, the global spa industry it's huge, and it's growing like crazy. I read the other day that by 2018, I believe they're supposed to increase their workforce by 40%. That is unprecedented. It's crazy. So that's, there's even more reason that you have to educate your therapist on what's happening with global skin. And just to give you a little background, the way that this works is you have three primary types of spas in hotels. You have the spas which are owned by the hotel and therefore under their brand. You have the privately owned spas which are situated inside of the hotel. And then you have the privately owned spas which are managed by the hotel and using their brand. Now, one of the first problems that's arising is coming from the fact that people don't have to go to hotels anymore. They have more choices of accommodation. They have Airbnb, HomeAway, VRBO, Open Rent, private property, and there are even places on TripAdvisor that you can rent. So this is a problem because, the thing is that these folks know that they want something different than to just pay for a shoebox with a coffee maker. They're looking for places that reflect how they like to live. Well, this same audience, it kind of stands to reason that if they don't want to pay their money to be in a hotel, be in a little shoebox room with a coffee maker, they would also want their spa experience to be more personal. So these are the same people who will go on sites to find the award-winning spa close by or one that's the most highly regarded. They don't go to the hotels anymore, and they don't use the spa facilities.
You mentioned the types of spas. Now, are all spas inside of hotels?
No, and that's what I'm saying. There are a lot of spas that are standalone, individually owned spas, and some of these spas are phenomenal. Some of the best experiences I've had, I've been to some fantastic hotel spas all over the world, but some of the best experiences I've had have been at small, individually owned private spas. Sometimes they only have 1 or 2 rooms, but it's the customer service, it's the care, it's the fact that these women are obsessed with giving good service, and because they're small, they have to be competitive, and they give you their best, and they're fantastic.
It's the Bond Report with your host, Norm Bond. Now podcasting live from Bangkok, Thailand. Guests, solutions, insights. Get connected now. Visit the website at www.normbond.com.
Okay, so you're saying, so we can see these spas then, the different types, and I know you're going to come back, but you got the different types inside the hotel. Then you got these standalone spas as well that people can experience. And so that's where another factoid I guess I was looking at was that part of the driver is so many people are looking to fight aging. There's this whole movement with wellness, and these are some of the drivers that people are looking or experiencing rather, that are helping to drive all of this revenue being generated within this whole global spa industry. Which obviously global, it's worldwide. So these spas are not just in North America, but Asia, all over the world.
They're all over, and the thing is that often it's not the spas inside of the hotels that may be the most progressive. It's the spas outside of the hotels that have more freedom and have more latitude. So therefore, the hotels need to be aware of these options so that they can boost their service and bring the customers in, because there's the trickle down then to the spa inside of the hotel as well. They also have to display a higher degree of customer service just to maintain that customer, because the customer now has options. They have choices.
What types of services would a customer, get? Because you're talking about this importance of customer service. So for our listeners here, maybe some go, maybe some don't, but why would people go to one of these spas and, put money, whip out their card, and what are some of the services that they're getting?
Well, ideally, they are getting, for instance, for skin, they should be getting someone who has gone to school, has knowledge of their skin on a deeper level than they might even have. So, first of all, they're getting the ambiance. Let's begin with that, because your home may be ever so wonderful, but with spas they create this very restful, peaceful ambiance. The smell should be wonderful. Everything should be very soft. It should be a treat for the senses. So you go to the spas for the ambiance, and then you go, of course, for the service, because they're waiting on you hand and foot. And some of the treatments would be facial treatments, different types of facials. Some would just be cleansing facials. Some would be deeper. They would be what you call therapeutic. They would be anti-aging. They have all types of technology now that can be used on the skin, high frequency. Some of the more advanced spas even have nurses there, so that if you want to get injectables, even that type of thing is available. You can get peels done, medical peels done at some spas. And then, of course, they have body services. You can get a variety of massages, scrubs, peels, tightening treatments, and then, of course, nails. And, there are just so many choices now to pick
Yeah, it
from.
sounds like it.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why they're spending the day at the spa, huh? We hear about,
Well, you can spend the day at the spa. Yeah, a lot of choices. And the thing is that one of the largest growing populations are men. It's incredible how many men are now going to spa. I'm sorry?
Men with the pretty eyebrows. We've been seeing a lot of those guys.
The thing is that I think it's just kind of a natural progression from when guys would go to the barbershop and, they would, the barbers would wrap the hot towels around their face. They take it a little bit farther now. Their products for men is a booming business. And there are treatments specifically for men because men have their own set of issues, like if they have beards, they may have ingrown hairs. And then, the facial for a guy is not the same as the facial that you would do for a woman. Men just have different concerns.
Yeah, well, I definitely get it, and I can see the growth in it. And as someone, who's had the pleasure of getting facials done, I certainly can, speak to their effectiveness and the quality of the esthetician that is performing the work, as you mentioned, is so key.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Right.
Let me ask you were talking earlier about we were talking about the spas inside of the hotels, and you were talking about the challenge of it, and also it seems like the spa then of today is going to be much different than the spa as we look down the road because that customer is different, particularly a younger customer, the millennial generation, of course, that is spending a lot, traveling a lot. But the hotel, we know, is a really traditional industry. So can you talk about some of the changes and challenges that these dynamics present?
Yeah, aside from the way that the hotel industry in itself is changing because of the options, another driver is the changing demographics. Millennials, it's incredible. Millennials are coming to the forefront with their spending power and their mobile devices and their multicultural diversity and their social consciousness and their impatience. They want what they want when they want it. And if they don't get it, they will tell the world about it. What you also have, though, is an aging population of people who have money to spend and they have different needs. So they want service and they want it to be personalized and it must be on point. And, I have to say, because I'm seeing a lot of these spa companies and hotels and they're bringing in all of these different bells and whistles and, that's good, but I think that what they're missing is that personalized customer service is the true competitive advantage. Because I've been to some places and they're fantastic to look at. But, I want to say to their staff, open your eyes and see the person in front of you. Learn how to listen. Talk to them. Don't be so robotic. So I think what's very important is that management has to invest in their staff with proper training. Because here's what's happening with the millennial. First of all, it's funny because my niece is a millennial, and I've noticed that a lot of them kind of roll in these packs. Their groups now, their friends are diverse. They don't just travel with maybe one ethnicity. It's so diverse. So if I'm a blonde-haired, blue-eyed millennial, and let's say I decide to take my bestie, who happens to be of African descent, to the spa for her birthday, and my friend has a lousy experience because your staff is clueless when it comes to darker skin, or even if we're having a drink or a soda or something after the service, and I find out that service was not equitable, I'm not coming back. And not only am I not coming back, I'm going to critique you on Yelp, I'm going to talk about you on Facebook, and I'm going to tweet about your sorry service too.
You're logged in and locked on. Hit up the website at normbond.com. Spread the word.
You definitely are going right where the area that's near and dear impact of this these digital tools. People now, when they have, particularly the millennials, when they have these bad experiences, they don't just keep them to themselves or just tell one or two people. Like you said,
That's right.
They can now go to the review sites. They can blog about it. They can put it on social media, various platforms. They can send
That's
out
right.
video, pictures, email it. So it's really, really something that can multiply the poor customer service or the bad experience that could happen, or something that can have a tremendous ripple effect for any brand, and so not just even isolated to a particular location, but across the entire brand.
Across the entire brand, and I'll tell you, it's not just, what happens is that with, it's not just the millennials. The millennials they are using social media, but for the senior, if my mom went to a spa and had a bad experience, I'm beyond millennial, but if she spoke with, if she talked to me, I would be putting it on TripAdvisor, and if she let my niece know, if she told her granddaughter I didn't like the experience or whatever, my niece would have it all over social media. So these hotels and the spas have to pay attention. They have to be aware, and they have to invest the money in the training, because this is no longer something where if their staff gives a bad service, this person may tell one or two people. It doesn't work like that anymore.
Really big challenges for executives, it sounds like, and management in the global spa industry. And we're talking about how the consumers are using these tools. What about these executives themselves, the managers? Do you see them active on social media? And more importantly, as I always talk with my clients about, you see them having strategies that really leverage and combine social media and email marketing and the customer experience?
Of course, social media, that is more in your wheelhouse, but I'll tell you what happened just from a personal experience not long ago. I went to a conference for a very, very high-end resort and spa company, and they had just hired this social media guy who was doing a presentation, and what he showed was where he had tweeted maybe 8 times to different locations within that company. He sent tweets out, and they never responded to him. Or the ones who did respond was kind of like just an afterthought. So what he was showing was how already before he had even arrived, or before a customer would even arrive at their destination, the brand had created a bad taste in their mouth. So if you're on Twitter, you have to be responsive. And I remember reading something that you said that was interesting about, because if the brand is not responsive, there are other brands who are smart enough to keep watch, and they will swoop in and answer the questions and claim that potential customer as their own.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the tactics what you're referring to there is what we would call social listening, which is really important for people, because a lot of times with social media, with blogging, even with sales, a lot of times people think that it's about talking, but what we're finding is even more powerful is the listening. So even if you say as a manager, as an executive, are not active on social media, you're not tweeting and you're not putting pictures up on Instagram, let's say, but that does not stop you from being able to go to those platforms and look at the conversation that's going on and use the search bar, put your keywords into the search bar. I've had customers and people who attend the seminars, and I'll say to them, what would somebody put in Google if they were looking for your business? And we'll take whatever those same terms are and put them in Twitter or put them in Pinterest, and you can see those same terms coming up on those platforms, And that means that someone is entering those terms, and those people who are entering those terms are either prospects or customers. And as you know, I've said, if brand A is not paying attention to those customers, you know, we're in a competitive global economy. You can believe that brand B or brand C is going to come in and respond and use that as a strategy to grow and expand their own business.
Now, podcasting live from Bangkok, Thailand, it's the Bond Report with your host, Norm Bond.
Well, I believe it. And, you know, the thing is also to get back to the CEOs, from what I understand, the CEOs who have a social media presence are viewed by the public as more innovative than their competitors. So that's a tactic. And they also, they're able to help shape the company image. And being on social media helps them to build relationships with their employees and the public. And it serves to put a more human face on the company. Because, I mean, I think that's why everyone loves Richard Branson so much. He's all over the place.
Absolutely. Sure.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Right.
So, I think it's very powerful when these CEOs get involved and they're out there like that.
Excellent. Well, this has been really great. I appreciate you taking some time. Any closing thoughts?
Thank you, Norm. You know, I just want to say that there are two primary reasons that stock companies don't want to invest in training for their staff. They say that it costs too much and that their people don't have the time. Well, I want to say, you know, with social media, you stand to lose 10 times more in revenue in trying to rebuild your reputation when something goes wrong. So it's worth it to invest in the training. And you think that you don't have time, but if someone makes a mistake and it's blasted all over and folks stop coming to your business, you'll have more time than you know. So it's worth it to make the investment and train your staff.
And I would say this as we close out. I think that we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg in terms of those negative experiences that you alluded to with millennials, seniors, and other groups, because a lot of industries are just not prepared for the dynamics of digital communication, social media, and unfortunately, many of them have to get smacked up upside the head with a public relations nightmare in order to take advantage and move in the direction they should move in. So hopefully, as these senior execs listen to this program and read some of the content that I'm seeing across the internet, some of the things that you put out on your various platforms from MoontideConsulting.com and what you tweet about on a daily basis, that they will be more proactive and preemptive rather than just being reactive and getting caught up in social media nightmares that often can end up with a brand being damaged, CEOs being fired, and billions of dollars in brand equity and hard money being lost. So, Linda, I want to give you a chance to let people know how to reach you.
I'm very easy to connect with. I can be reached on Linda at MoontideConsulting.com. That's Linda at Moontide, MOONTIDE, consulting.com.
So look, as we get ready to close out this issue of the Bond Report podcast, I want to thank you and remind you to visit the website at www.normbondmarkets.com, where you will find incredible tools to help empower you in the areas of social media, SEO, mobile marketing, and also a number of reports. And until the next episode, happy marketing, happy selling, change the world, peace, and I'm out.
Follow Norm Bond on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Google+, and wherever social media is found.